I just imagine one of our nice subscribers rating the movie like off by 0.1 with your score. Just awful things you'll do to them.
Yeah, religious wars have been started over less.
Welcome back, everybody, to Tutor Ramble. I am Austin.
And I'm Richard.
We are reviewing Wakanda Forever. We just watched it yesterday, and it's been a day since it's been released to the public.
Yep.
So we're giving you the exclusive. You can find this nowhere else on YouTube. A review of Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Oh yeah, no one else has.
No one's done this. We're the first to get there. Actually, Marvel showed us this movie last year before it was even made. It's incredible. We have such insight.
Well, actually, we got to see it last year, but it took that whole year for Austin here to edit the videos, so now you're seeing it.
Takes me. That's so mean. It takes me time, okay? But I'm editing this weekend. It's going to be out Monday, so it'll be out relatively quick. So we're getting this access to you. And what's the overall? First off, we're going to go into spoiler free for the next 10-15 minutes here, and then we'll go into specific spoilers. But for those of you who don't want any spoilers, we will make clear when we are getting to spoiler territory. We will make very clear.
But let's go right into the what the movie's about. So
Let's do that.
This is Wakanda Forever. This is the sequel to the highly acclaimed Black Panther, and it is about because of the death of Chadwick Boseman in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Black Panther is also dead, the king of Wakanda, and so Wakanda now has to deal with the death of their king, and the other nations in the world smell blood in the water and start thinking that Wakanda is now in a weakened state. And so Wakanda needs to deal with that, and Shuri, King T'Challa's brother... King T'Challa's sister has to deal with not only the death of her brother, but also the weight of new responsibility being thrust upon her. That is the movie.
Great, completely spoiler-free intrigue going into there.
Oh, yeah.
And to go on top of that, the trailer that we saw also built a lot of intrigue.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it after a trailer. It looked more unique than most Marvel movies we've gotten in the past year or two.
It looked intense. It looks more serious. Of course, with the weight of Chadwick Boseman passing away, incredibly sad. But the movie went forward and had to rewrite its script, I think, 8 months out of production.
Yeah.
Going forward with that. So, we usually go later, but let's get right into it. What's
go right into our score.
Spoiler-free score, and then why you gave it that score.
Sure. I gave my overall score for the movie a 5.3.
5.3.
Yeah.
Very middle of the road.
Yeah, 0.3 above average for me.
5 is average for us, completely average. So you are feeling excited about this video. You can't wait to talk about this movie.
My thighs are rubbed raw for sitting on that fence.
Okay, that's the first time I've ever heard a saying like that. You make fun of my sayings, that's the worst one I've ever heard.
Yeah, see, but I say them with confidence. You say it with a tone of like you're afraid to get beat. You're about to get beaten for what you're gonna say.
Because everything I say, I get bullied. Okay,
you gotta stand up to me.
I'm gonna have a couple sayings. I'm gonna slip them in here. So you gave it a 5.3. Why a 5.3?
Well,
spoiler free, of course.
Of course.
Yes.
I think the two aspects that the movie did pretty well were characters and cinematography. The characters, I think Shuri was very well handled, and I don't believe this would be a spoiler because it's on the poster, but it's a very difficult thing to pass on the mantle of Black Panther to a separate author after Chadwick Boseman died. And I think this movie very competently handed the mantle to his sister, Shuri, and that's very well done. So there was a lot of good moments with Shuri, the queen, and all these aspects. So that was well done. The fighting was also, I think, entertaining, and the final fight, Act 3, I could actually see it, unlike the first Black Panther, which was in, like, 2 black suits in a dark cave. It's very hard to see. This movie, I could see things.
You are sounding, like, very positive for a 5.3. I think people are going to listen to your review and be like, what?
Yeah, because I left out all
the bad things.
Everything sounds great if I only talk about the plot. You said,
Okay.
why are you giving it that?
Yeah.
So those are the two highest aspects.
Ah, okay. You're just going to the high aspects.
Exactly.
So what lowers it for you?
What lowers it is the plot.
Okay. So
Plot
that's
certainly
what leaves
lowers
it in the
it.
5-ish range.
Yeah, emotional impact as well, and dialogue. I think dialogue was slightly below average. Some of the dialogue didn't work. Some of it did, but I think overall was a slight miss. And overall, even though I say I liked the characters, I think the principal characters were done well. There were a lot of side characters that needed to be cut. There was characters I didn't particularly care about.
Didn't need to be there.
Didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's aspects that I don't think worked that well. And the stuff that worked well was only okay or to good.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, I went in too soon there. I thought you were just giving it all praise. That's a
No.
balanced 5. I see why you gave it a 5.3.
I started with the praise. Like, what did it do the best?
Yes.
And then everything else.
Great,
What did you give this movie?
I gave Wakanda Forever a 4 out of 10 on the dot.
Yeah.
And 5 being our average, I don't hate the movie. I dislike the movie. I was bored. And the primary reason for that, you said plot was your worst aspect.
Yeah.
I think my 4 reflects how much I really was bored by the plot, pacing wise. It being a 2-hour, 40-minute film when it could have easily been an hour 40. And I think very easily could have been an hour 40.
I guess so.
It's a very long film that didn't need to be long. The sequence of events aren't necessarily, the plot isn't necessarily awful. It's not bad events that happen. It's how they get to each part that's kind of a drag. And there are also characters that I really like one character, and I'll get into that in the spoiler section. I will, because I want to talk about the best moment there. But there's characters that don't need to be there, and some that are just too trite for me. So again, there's aspects I love, like that cinematography, the action was good. There's good choreography, and there are moments sporadically throughout the movie where I'm engaged. I'm like, ooh, okay. And I'm emotional just for moments, but out of a 2-hour, 40-minute movie, me being into it for like maybe 20 minutes wasn't enough for me to really see as the experience was deserved any higher.
Fair enough.
So that's my 4 out of 10 spoiler free. But do you want to hear, obviously your rating 5.3 is the correct rating, of course, right?
Of course.
But,
my opinions are a fact.
Right. So
it's man, I'm so blessed to be able to give the viewers at home.
I'm never saying that again. You go too much into it, and you're like, oh, you know what? Forget it. We're going into.
What do you mean? That's why we have a podcast, is to share our lofty opinions to the lower folk.
Here we go. Here we go again.
The people watching and listening at home are just living in constant ignorance on what to think about media, and so they come here to listen to our objective scores.
I just imagine one of our nice subscribers rating the movie like a 5.2, and you just beating them.
Well, they're wrong.
Physically abusing them because they're off by 0.1 with your score. Just awful things you'll do to them.
Yeah, religious wars have been started over less.
Okay, so the online scores, they disagree with us. I'm more negative than you, but Rotten Tomatoes, the critic scores an 84% for Wakanda Forever, which is actually lower than expected.
I expected, for Wakanda Forever especially, I expected the critics to kind of give this 100%.
Yes, yeah. Because Black Panther was very high. I think in that 100% range.
With the death of Chadwick Boseman, with it being a Black Panther movie,
right.
I just kind of expected, like, no one's going to rate this lower than a 5 out of 5.
Hating on it would be like, oh, is it some sort of disrespect to...
Yeah.
I see that. But the audience score is a 95%. So much
to be
higher.
fair, that's mostly, like, people who are rating it are the diehard fans that are seeing it right now. So that score will go down over the coming weeks.
Absolutely, because today, again, this is a day after it premiered worldwide, or at least US-wide. So it's very early on. So Rotten Tomatoes, they like it a lot more, but it'll probably stay pretty high still. But I have a surprise for you, Richard.
What do you have for me?
I have a surprise segment. Because we gave our spoiler-free review. We're going to get into specifics of why we think away, but one more spoiler-free thing I wanted to do is give you 3 different reviews from Letterboxd
Okay.
Letterboxd is a rating website kind of like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb.
Inferior to our own rating system, but yeah.
Okay, true, but so there's 3 ratings on Letterboxd. I'm gonna give you a 5-star review, a 3-star review, and a half-star review.
Okay.
So 3 different perspectives because we're kind of similar on this. We want to get other point of views out there, and I want to see your thoughts. Okay.
Okay.
So Noah, I'll put this on screen. Noah said this about Wakanda Forever. He gave it 5 stars, and Noah said, Marvel Studios, hashtag Black Panther Wakanda Forever TM, is an incredibly emotional tribute to Chadwick Boseman and easily one of the greatest films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With phenomenal, mind-blowing cameos, fantastic references to other movies, emotional sequel setups, and a beautiful introduction to Ironheart, I found myself crying tears of despair, but also joy at the sheer fact that there will indeed be more of these. Wakanda Forever, Yambambe! And then he had a fist bump and a heart emoji. Don't be mean. Don't be mean.
Fake comment.
That was the nicest thing you could have said, actually. I expected much worse. Okay.
I think it's spam.
I'm proud of you that you held back. So you think Noah's a fake person?
You just see my mouth start with an F. And you're going like, what's gonna come out of that
I
mouth?
was so nervous. You have no idea how nervous I was. You could have said anything.
I was about to test. Have you figured out the mute sound on the editing equipment?
Just for some reason, I ask, the edit. It's just I ask you what you think about it, and it cuts to the next one. So you think that's a fake review?
Well,
Aren't you happy that Noah enjoyed the movie?
No, not particularly.
You know?
I'm in general a curmudgeon that likes very little things, so I do not take pleasure in other people's happiness.
Well, Noah, listen, I wholeheartedly disagree with you, but I'm glad you had a good time.
I'm not.
This bad cop, good cop, bad cop thing is like...
Yeah.
All right. Next review. Now, this is the 3-star review. This is coming from Matt on Letterboxd. He says this. The parts, and this is about Wakanda Forever, of course. So, the parts of this that click do so very well, but honestly, its emotional swings work better on paper than in practice. It's in desperate need of narrative momentum, and the central conflicts lack the first one's galvanic thorniness. Also, without spoiling it, the best scene in the movie has the most unfortunate side effect of reminding you of just what's missing here.
He could replace us. Like, might as well just bring him on.
It's basically your opinion.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's pretty close to it.
Yeah, it's 3 out of 5 stars. He was very milquetoast, kind of like your 5.3.
Yeah.
It's right around there. I think that's a very fair review.
Yeah. Pretty accurate.
And it's one of the top reviews on Letterboxd of the movie.
Gotcha.
It has over 1,100 likes at the moment. It'll probably keep going up. So
yeah.
Now for the half-star review.
Ooh.
The half-star review of Wakanda.
Our DC fanboy, huh? Because that's the only reason someone can dislike a Marvel movie.
They have to be a DC fanboy.
They have to be a DC fanboy.
So this person, Spencer, rated Wakanda Forever a half-star, saying this. Haven't seen it yet, but my part-time theater job scheduled me for a 40-hour work week across 6 straight days because of this shit. I'm getting ready to head back at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow after closing tonight. F this movie. Thoughts?
Oh God. Is
it valid?
That's a weird coincidence because when I was still in college, I actually worked at an AMC theater. And the last movie that came out before I had to quit my job was Black Panther.
The first Black Panther.
Yeah.
2018. So you wrote this comment is what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, no, I it was so packed for weeks.
Yeah.
Black Panther was just every single day. And for like 2 to 3 weeks was always packed. And so I was working 40 hours when I was supposed to be working 20.
Right.
And I was working 40.
Because of Black Panther.
Yes,
Yeah.
And I also had to do full-time school. So I would get off work at like 1. I'd get home, and I have to go to my 8 a.m. class.
Oh.
I was dying for like 3 weeks.
So you get off at 1 a.m., have 8 a.m. class the next morning, back to work that afternoon.
Yeah, it was miserable.
So this is a valid review from, what was his name? Spencer.
I empathize with Spencer. I've went through exactly what Spencer went through, so
Usually I would say like, hey, you can't rate a movie if you haven't seen it.
No, I feel it.
That's valid.
Valid. Completely valid.
Yeah, completely. Okay. So at this point, that's the end of our spoiler-free review of Wakanda Forever. So if you have not seen the movie, go check it out. Hopefully we didn't dissuade you. Still see it. Get your own opinion of the movie. But, it is in the 4 to 5.3 range, of course. So spoiler-free section over. We're going to get into spoilers.
All right. So if you haven't seen the movie, click off and come back to this video later. But you have been given a warning.
Warning done. Okay. So we're starting a new take on this movie where we're not going to go into our specific category by category system. No. If you want our specific ratings, they'll be in the description below.
Yeah, with an explanation about how our rating system actually works.
Yes, for those that don't know. So our total score is broken down by 5 specific categories. Usually we go into those. But for this, we're going to give an overall, what was the best aspect of the movie and worst aspect, and we're each going to riff off each other of what your specific best part was in mine, and then our worst.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah, mainly because I think going into every single part of this movie, there's not too much to talk about because it's really down the middle.
Yeah, because we don't love the movie and we don't despise it, so it's tough to go like, oh, let's go nitpick example. Let's talk overall. So starting with you then, what is the best aspect of the movie? What brought the rating up?
For me, characters. Because I think when the characters that are done well are done very well. So I think the 2 best were Shuri and the Queen. I think Shuri's the acting was actually really well done.
Shuri.
And yeah, so Shuri, and especially the Queen. I'm thinking like that intro scene when they're at the United Nations and the Queen is giving the address to everyone. Done really well. I thought that was a very exciting scene. But Shuri, they actually properly passed off the mantle of Black Panther to her, which I was very impressed with. That's a very difficult thing. That for an actor to die, and like Chadwick Boseman was beloved as Black Panther.
I'm a liar. I'm a liar.
What?
Can I say one nitpick?
Sure.
I just have to say one. And it's not even a nitpick. It's I was thinking in my head, right? And this is completely, I don't think anyone is this stupid to have this thought.
Most people are not as stupid as you.
Exactly. So it's a thought I had, but when Shuri, and we'll get right back into why it's your favorite moment. I don't mean to dog on this specific part, but I do. Okay. But with Shuri becoming Black Panther, the first moment when she punches something that goes through the wall.
The mannequin, yeah.
The mannequin and goes through the wall. In my head, I was thinking it would have been a cool setup if after her mother died, she was like punching things, and after Chadwick in the beginning died, like she showed her anger was punching things, and so the third time she punched something when she became Black Panther, it's like a normal thing she'd do with like just being frustrated, but this time flies into the wall. I thought it would have been a cool setup of like a little almost Chekhov's gun like of that would have been nice if
I don't know if that's completely necessary.
That's why I said it's the weirdest. I don't think anyone else had this thought because I just have I don't know what went through my mind. I was like, that was set up.
That's the most nitpick thing I've ever heard.
I told you. Did I warn you?
Like, she punched something because she was angry. That really needs to be set up.
Richard, I think I warned you. I said it was the stupidest thing ever. I just had to say it.
All right. If you want to spread your stupidity on our podcast, that's what it's here for.
Listen, I just had to do it. So that's why it's not a 7 out of 10. Docked 3 points because she punched something like that. Okay, so going back into why it's the best aspect.
The mantle of Black Panther was actually passed on very well. So I think that's the best aspect of the movie. Okay. Worst aspect, I think, is definitely the plot.
Oh, whoa. Worst aspect. Okay.
Are we going to trade?
No, not trade, but like that was it. Like,
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Get into the negatives that quick. All right. I see how you're playing. All right.
That's a big one. It's a big positive.
All right. Now, what's your big negative? Let's hear it.
It's the plot.
The plot.
Pacing. There's some aspects that didn't need to be there at all. It could be cut entirely. Namor's motivation is weird. Like, he has the gall to be offended that Wakandans actually snuck back in to rescue their princess. Like, he literally kidnapped her.
How dare you?
And then, like, they killed one of the guards and rescued her. And it's like, awful. Oh, the terror. We gotta beat him. It's like, you had the audacity to be angry at them? Like, you kidnapped their princess. Of course they're gonna try and rescue. Like, what do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah.
That's stupid. But other than that, there's a bunch of stuff wrong with the plot. So
the good is the acting and the main characters.
yeah,
The bad is the plot.
yeah. What about
Man,
you?
You are right in the middle. It reflects your rating.
Yeah.
Very well. My favorite part, best part about Wakanda Forever has to be the Queen. So I agree with you. I'm not gonna name all the characters because I think some did fine. Like Shuri, I thought she did fine. The Queen was the standout for me that kept us from going any lower. The Queen's acting, Angela Bassett, right?
Yeah.
Angela Bassett's acting and the events that happened with her as well. Her dying, I thought was actually a nice risky move they made as far as plot goes. I agree with you on the plot, but that was a moment that I went, oh, I actually expected her to survive for a moment. It had me believing like, oh, they weren't going to kill her off. So I was like, oh, that was an interesting and risky in quotes thing to do. So nice. And also her acting with the at the UN, and especially her response to Okoye, I believe her name is, when Okoye lost her daughter. I thought that was the proper character response and the emotion she showed of it's not rational. I mean, of course, Okoye is super loyal, but she just lost her son and now her daughter.
But yeah, it wasn't about loyalty. It's that you're a failure.
Yeah.
You failed how many times now? And you're the one that actually encouraged me to let Shuri on this mission.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, your judgment's bad and you're not effective. So, out.
It was, I think, the correct character decision to make.
Sure.
It's completely rational. So the Queen was great.
Mm-hmm.
Queen was really great. And that's my goods of the movie. Like the only good part I think that I could say I can actually exclaim is the Queen. The bad part, I completely agree with you on plot. But more specifically to why I dislike the plot, pacing wise, you said, right? I
actually liked that Act 1 was a little bit stretched out, and we got a lot of breathing room and a lot of emotional moments between all the characters. It was mostly Act 2 that I thought was just that's where it stretched too long for me. I liked an extended Act 1. I was actually kind of into the character moments and character development between the characters.
Maybe I was less so because the dorm scene, for example, when they go into the dorm to get Riri, which I really disliked Riri. You probably didn't dislike her as much.
I didn't dislike her, but it wasn't very exciting.
I mean, we've seen Iron Man before, and now it's Iron Man just with like less flaws, or just a new side character who also is good at tech. And okay, I mean, it didn't do it for me. I saw what they were going for.
In many ways, she is almost like the Shuri of Black Panther. Where in Black Panther, the first one,
Shuri's that.
She doesn't really have flaws, but she's a side character. She's not supposed to, really.
Yeah.
But even then, the first one, she had a bit of attitude.
Yeah, there was something there, but Riri just, personality-wise, she makes so that they write her to have jokes and also good, friendly personality and is inventive. So at no point was I like, oh, this character's interesting or I want to see them grow. It's just they're there. So
well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with. She'll get her own movie.
Also, the suit was kind of ugly. So
it was.
Did not like the suit. Honestly, lowered my cinematography.
It looked more like a toy.
Was weird. Definitely weird. So a lot of the aspects in Act 1, and I believe I can't remember exactly where that was placed in the story, but anyway, scenes like that where they tried to be the characters interacted and were trying to be funny with like Okoye and Shuri came off more cringy to me. The dialogue between them and it trying to be like Okoye is the warrior who can't joke around because she's serious and she defends the queen. Like we've seen that before, and also it's just very expected. So as soon as you saw it, you knew what was happening. It was a very cookie cutter plot. Pacing wise was long. Could have been a much shorter movie. And again, I said that nitpick about Shuri. I'm going to say another nitpick. And it's not necessarily bad, but with the villain, what's his name again? The water guy, Aquaman,
Namor.
Avatar, Part 3. What is it, Namor? Okay, Namor.
Actually, I do, in the movie, it's corrected. It's Namor.
Namor, okay.
Without love. So the comics have gotten it wrong. Everyone else has got, it's not Namor. It's Namor.
Namor, okay.
Which is, it's kind of dumb. It's Namor, but whatever.
Okay, Namor, right? He has a flashback sequence where he goes back to how he was created. Mm-hmm. Nothing particularly wrong with that, but we recently watched Eternals, and it brought back some PTSD. Because Eternals had about 50% of the film was flashbacks, and I was like, oh, please no. Please don't give me another flashback scene. I don't want to sit through another one, even if it's in a different movie. So that's all it did. It just brought back some bad memories. So maybe I'm being too harsh for that reason.
Maybe a little.
Just a little bit. But
the flashback scenes weren't that bad.
They weren't. But
okay, you want my nitpick?
Ooh, okay.
My nitpick.
Yes.
I was very confused on the water people's skin color.
Blue.
Yes, but when they're in water, they weren't. Sometimes.
The water's blue.
No. They looked clearly like tan skin. Like they looked normal. They didn't have blue skin when they're in the water.
They had they had human skin, right?
They had human skin in the water sometimes, but sometimes they look blue.
I didn't notice that. Maybe it's because the water distorts the color.
I don't know, because like when they're on the surface, like they clearly have blue skin, and then when they're underwater, they look completely different. Yeah, and it was weird looking.
See the difference
here? I didn't know.
The difference here, right, as we're talking, is my nitpick, you obviously destroyed it and made fun of me. Your nitpick, I have open arms, Richard, to your nitpick. Look at me being loving.
Yeah.
Your nitpick's stupid. Okay, I didn't notice it. You're stupid.
Yeah, but ultimately, I have confidence that I'm right. You don't.
Did you actually notice that, though? That it was
Yes.
different underwater?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and it was weird.
Oh, I didn't cross my mind.
And I was trying to determine whether it was, when they're in the water, their skin turns a different color.
But then it was blue still at points.
I thought so. I'm not sure, but it was confusing me.
You had your glasses on? Watching the movie? Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to rewatch. I don't want to rewatch this. I can't.
There's so many other movies.
There are plenty of others. But biggest plot point for me that made the whole thing just uncreative, because it's not that they didn't make bad decisions. Okay, they did make bad decisions. They didn't make awful decisions.
Yeah.
But the whole plot of the movie is based around there's a Wakanda 2.0. There's another society that has been undiscovered, and they are more powerful than the nations on Earth. Oh, another thing about the plot. We're still talking about worst part. Martin Freeman, his character.
Oh, he could have been cut.
Just
completely.
didn't need to happen. What? Why? Yeah. Why was he there? It was also a very boring ending. Like, he's in the van, getting taken away, escapes, with the help of
also, he was there, he was supposed to be there to show how, like, the American side, like, Americans are trying to hone in on Wakanda's weakness.
My goodness. How stupid
That's what they're supposed to do.
No, America was going to attack Wakanda, the president?
Yeah, that was stupid.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was...
Why?
Yeah, no, why would they do that?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, Though, to be fair, seems like Wakanda is way weaker than we thought. Like, they have energy weapons.
Sorry, to be fair, they were saying this because they thought Wakanda was going around attacking Navy SEALs and whatnot. Yeah. So that's why, right? Mm-hmm. But the why we're thinking is like, maybe talk to them first. Don't just make us I don't know. So it is explained. I shouldn't act like it's that bad.
It's explained, but you could have... It eats up a lot of screen time that could have been used elsewhere or just not at all.
Like, I would have loved to see Riri have more of a character arc or something happen there.
Yeah.
Again, I think to end this off on some good positive notes, the Queen was great, and I think Shuri was not a bad protagonist. She filled the mantle in the best way she could. I saw the way they were going with the movie. Wasn't my cup of tea. Anything you want to add before we close off on feelings? Because Wakanda Forever, milquetoast, and I'm more negative on it. I mean, what... Sorry, we're not more excited. We're more negative. That's all we got.
But actually, I will leave off with what do you guys think down in the comments? Let us know down below. And if you're interested in looking into our rating system, we'll have a more detailed explanation in the description below. And we will see you guys next week.
Next week, we're actually doing a Marvel Phase 4.
Yeah, a little discussion on Phase 4 of Marvel.
Phase 4 Marvel, what we think are the best movies in Phase 4 and the worst.
Yeah.
And we'll see where this one places. I think it'll be interesting. Yeah. So it's definitely not the worst.
No, definitely not the worst.
Okay. All right, everybody.
All right. Catch you next week.
Catch you next week.
Bye.